Hello my friends, and welcome to my August bullet journal setup video. So this month I decided to go with a theme that was inspired by the song August by Taylor Swift. It just seemed very fitting, and it's also my favorite song off of Folklore, so I just had to do it. So I was inspired by a lot of different things. So obviously like the lyrics themselves I was inspired by, and how the story within the song is kind of following the love triangle storyline within the album. There's a few songs on Folklore that follow this same love triangle, and this is one of them. So that was definitely big inspirations for the spreads. But I also just kind of went off of the general aesthetic as well as like the lyric video. So there's lyric videos for every single song off of Folklore, and the August one is kind of like this beachy scene. I can throw a picture up on the screen now if you would like, and that's kind of where I got the like color scheme and everything. And yeah, there were a lot of things that I was able to reference to get the kind of general aesthetic for these spreads, and it was just really fun to think of things to draw. So for the cover page, I decided to do this window looking out at the beach. I don't know why, but I just picture like a beach house within the storyline of the song. So I thought that that would be a cool like cover page. And I did think of the idea of a window on my own, but I did look on Pinterest for like inspiration. So any inspirations or anything that I have that I use for these spreads, I will link down below in the description. But I did decide to do this like beachy scene out the window for the cover page, and I also printed out headers for every single page throughout these spreads. I was going to hand draw the font because I used the font that Taylor Swift used for the Folklore album, but it took me a really long time just to sketch out the title page. So I decided to just type them all out and print them out and then just glue them in, and it looks really nice and put together, and I just really like using the actual Folklore font. But yeah, that is the cover page for this month done. So now we're going to move on to the calendar spread. So like always, drawing out the grid for the month, and while you watch me draw this grid out that you see every month, I thought I would just quickly mention that filming these journal spreads this month was a challenge. There were a lot of things going on that I had to keep stopping for, and different challenges, so my camera does cut out a few times as well, but I will always show like an overview shot at the end and throughout the video as well, so you always see what everything looks like. But yeah, sometimes things cut out, so I apologize for that. And I also do this really terrible drawing on this page that I do end up covering, so get ready to laugh at my mistakes. So I've just drawn the calendar spread and glued in the title for this page, and I also printed out the little headers for the individual days of the week to put at the top, also in the Folklore font. And I also printed out the titles for the little trackers that I have on my calendar spread. I keep track of my growth on my YouTube channel as well as my Instagram, so I did print out YouTube and Instagram to put in the top right corner to keep track of my growth on there. Alright, so here is the drawing that we're all going to make fun of. I wanted to draw a wine glass with wine spilling out of it because of the lyric, August sipped away like a bottle of wine, you know? And apparently I just don't know how to draw liquid falling out of something. So that's the mess that you're seeing right now. But don't worry, we try and fix it, and then it gets worse, and then I do fix it and it looks somewhat better. So we're going to pretend we do not see it for now and just move on. And there was my cat. There he is. He was being a nuisance the whole time I was filming, so that was part of the problem. But anyway, I decided to color in the kind of top where the days of the week are, just to make them stand out a little bit more. And then I am going in with that like bluey gray marker to do the numbers. Also, if you are curious about any of the markers and anything that I'm using in these spreads, I will have them linked below for you guys. And I also decided to go in with the green marker that I use throughout these spreads to write August sipped away like a bottle of wine at the bottom. I do some lyrics throughout all of these spreads, and I just really liked that that was kind of a nice little touch, and it brought the song kind of into the spreads, and I just really liked that idea. And I also go in and add some stickers and some washi tape because I think it's impossible for me to do a monthly spread without washi tape. But now I'm going in and trying to fix this drawing. I tried to make it like kind of look like a puddle at first, and then it just was like, no, there's so much wine coming out of this, it wouldn't have fit in the glass in the first place. So I go in, cover it with a piece of extra bullet journal paper that I have, and kind of do this puddle look. It doesn't look great, but it looks significantly better, so it's fine. So that is the calendar page done. So now we're moving on to my read and watched spreads. So I just like to keep track of everything that I have read and watched throughout each month, and it's just a spread to keep track of those things. I don't do much with these spreads just so I have plenty of room to write everything I need to down, but I did decide to do this kind of beach drawing on the bottom, and I go in with a tan color for the sand, that bluey gray color for the water, and then I go in with the Archer Olive paint pen, the acrylic graph pen. I still can never get the name of those right, but I go in with the white one to kind of do that breaking wave look, and then I do put some more lyrics on the bottom of the left hand side just to fill out that empty space. I go in with some more stickers, and then that is those spreads done. Alright, so now we are moving on to my tracker spreads. So on the left hand side is going to be my habit tracker, and this is one of the instances where my camera does cut out, so I apologize about that. So I'm just going in and drawing these tan rectangles for the monthly layouts for the different habits I want to track, and I actually decided to color them in just to make it a little bit different from usual. And I also printed out the different habits that I track in the folklore font, and I'm just gluing those in, and I think it looks really full with the boxes colored in. I really like the way that looks. And then on this empty space on the bottom of the spread, I decided to do a drawing of a door opening up onto the beach that I keep drawing throughout these spreads. I kind of just got this door idea stuck in my head because of the lyric "salt air and the rust on your door." I don't know why, it was in there, couldn't get it out, plus also those lyrics are what start the song, and I hear those lyrics and absolutely lose my mind. So I had to do, something involving those lyrics, so I decided to draw this door walking out onto the beach. I also decided to add those lyrics that inspired this drawing on the bottom right of this spread in that empty white space, and then that is my habit tracker spread done. So now we're moving on to my mood tracker spread, and if you saw my last month setup, I decided to do something different where I did this kind of graph mood tracker, and I really liked it. I liked being able to see kind of the actual visual representation of the ups and downs of my mood. The colors are fun, like that type of mood tracker system, but I feel like this is a better way of me actually being able to see my moods throughout the month, so I decided to do it again for this month. And then in the empty space on the right side, I decided to do this wheat, I guess. I don't know. I kind of do it kind of throughout the beachy spreads in the beach, out the window, these things are there. So I just decided to do that in the big empty space. And then I also obviously put the mood tracker header at the top and some washi tape. And then that is this very simple mood tracker spread done. And now we're moving on to my monthly favorites page. So similar to the cover page, I decided to do a window for the kind of different sections of my monthly favorites. So I'm just drawing the same curtains, and I do draw a window again, and in the 4 different window panes, is that the technical term? I do the different sections for the things I like to keep track of. So I like to keep track of the music I loved, the different movies or books or shows or anything that I watched and loved in the month, as well as any lifestyle things and memories from that month. So I just kind of split those up within the window, and I really liked that I was able to incorporate a drawing that kind of fit the theme into this spread. I find I love this spread, but I also find this one to be kind of the most difficult one to fit the different themes that I do, so I was really happy with how this spread turned out. On the right side, I'm doing my brain dump page, and I have found that some months this gets more use than others, but it's still a nice page to have just to write down anything I might need to. And I did some more lyrics on the bottom, and I was so focused on making sure that they fit that I ended up like misspelling a whole word and like forgetting a part of the word, but I did fix it. And then I'm once again drawing the wine glass spilling. I think this time it came out a little better. I think I learned from my mistakes on the calendar page. So yeah, I kept this pretty empty so I had plenty of room to write anything, and then those are those spreads done. And now we're moving on to the final few spreads of the month, which are my weekly spreads. So I set my weekly spreads up just all at once. I know some people don't do that, some people don't recommend it. They kind of recommend you go, throughout the month setting them up, but I find that it works fine with me just setting them up all at once. So I decided to use these first 2 pages for the first 2 weeks of the month, and I decided to do this kind of beachy scene on the bottom. I did this sort of thing on the watched spread that I did earlier, and I just really liked the way that it looked, and it kind of brought a little bit of the theme onto the weekly spreads. And I separated the pages into 6 different boxes. I used one box just for the weekend. I do put one of the Saturdays in the wrong spot, so you will see me move that around. But yeah, these are the first 2 weekly spreads. And then for the last 2-ish weeks of the month, I decided to do the window curtain drawing once again. So I'm just drawing the curtains on the sides of each of the spreads, and then I'm also separating the days out by the different sections in the windows. And I really like the way that these spreads turned out. I think it'll be fun to use them. They're a little bit different, and they definitely fit the theme throughout the month, which I was really happy to be able to incorporate, because I do find it also difficult to incorporate the themes into my weekly spreads sometimes. So I was really happy with the way both of these turned out. And I also don't know if you'll be able to notice, but I didn't include the last few days of the month in this final weekly spread. I really want to start just starting my weekly spreads on Mondays. I typically try to kind of cram every single day of the month on 4 pages. So this is 2 pages and then the 2 pages before, and some months it gets very squishy with all the days of the month that I'm trying to fit on the 4 pages. So I think next month in September it'll technically start on the 30th of August or something, but I just feel like that makes more sense having all of my weekly spreads start on Mondays, and I'm really excited to go forward with these spreads and not have to squish so many days on certain pages. And with that weekly spread done, that is actually going to be it for my August bullet journal setup. So here's a final flip through of what everything ended up looking like this month. As always, definitely leave me a comment down below what your theme for August is. I always love looking through the comments and seeing what people choose each month for their themes. But I think that is going to complete my August bullet journal setup. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.